of the show, and it is Game of Some Other Year. We choose the next Game of Some Other Year. So
Woohoo!
you've been on the journey with us maybe for 2011, one of the greatest years of video games. Swinny and I were only on the show at the time. We didn't want to include Mike because we were worried that he was going to interrupt all the way through. Well-founded
You were on
fears.
the money.
Or get us cancelled.
Or not prepare. So all the things we were worried about were true. But yeah, it was kind of a bit uneventful, Swinny, last time. We said we had any year possible. We both came up with top 3 and we both landed on the same number 1. So it's a bit like hard to go past it. And there wasn't much conversation really past that. You know, we sort of spoke about the other years that we could have picked. So I think we did have very different picks, you know, outside of that. But what we have decided is for this one, just given that we did 2011, let's mix it up. So let's do the 90s. So the goal is we can only choose a 90. And now for any of the video clip watchers or the main show watchers, I will take off this background quite shortly because I think people are going to have an epileptic fit. I might remove it straight away. There you go. You've seen what the 90s are. All right. So we've all picked our top 3. Top 3 of the 90s years. We have not spoken about what each of us picked, and yeah, we'll sort of go from there. Like, see what we're going to land on. So, who wants to go first? We'll start from third, yeah. So we'll go all our third picks, second, first. And it could get very anticlimactic if we've all picked the same first.
Like, I was meant to choose.
I know, it looks like he's actually... All right, so people at home, it genuinely looks like he's coming up with it in his head.
It's because I've got a top 4, and for the life of me, I cannot narrow down spot 3 and 4 to put a number 3.
Whatever's on the top of the list, remove that one. That's your choice. That's gone.
Okay. So...
Well, who wants to go first? Do you want me to go first? Because I already know
You can go first,
clearly.
yeah.
Okay.
Go. Yeah.
So, and I got it on the screen. It's very basic, so just forgive me. So, out of all the 1990s years, and so many good years, it's insane, actually, if you go back in the 90s. Like, some of the years are bangers. For my third pick, I regard as maybe it's the best year of video games, but I'm picking a third, and there's reasons we can get to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the best game. I think it's the only year that you can genuinely go, all right, this can go head to head against 2011 as being the best year of video games. So obviously, and I'm trying to edit it now, but I've made it.
We all know what it's going to be.
It's 1998. I've picked 1998 as my third pick.
Yeah.
Mike.
Interesting. Okay, so my...
Wait, are we not going to explain why, like, some of the games, maybe?
Oh, okay, yeah, cool. So 1998.
Just quickly.
Tell us about 1998.
And, just like, I'm glad you called that out because we're going to cover it from the start. Now, when you talk about 2011, even by 2011, worldwide releases, everything came out in the same year. There's hardly any controversies. As you go back in time, the world's very different. And we all live in Australia, which again is even different again because some games never came out here or like only came out in Europe or only in America. So the way we're looking at this is our logic, that we're looking back, not at the Japanese releases. We are looking at when they hit Western shores. So that could be North America or Europe or Australia, because there are some cases where it came out in Australia first. Now, the other quirk to that, and we'll work through it probably more closely when we actually pick the year, is some games came out in arcades, then they came out on home consoles. Those said games are sometimes very similar, so you could almost bucket it as the same game. Some are different, like the arcade and the console version are quite different. So it's kind of almost a case-by-case basis, and we'll have to work through it. And then you get really weird quirks, like Diablo is probably the weirdest, that they almost themselves regard it as coming out as 2 different years. But officially, they say it's the start of January when the game came out in 97. But on some sites, you even see it saying as it came out on the 31st of December, 1996.
Well, we're officially going to put it in 97.
97, yeah. So, like, yeah, well, you know, there's debates on those kind of things. I think when it's only one day and it's like a day you can't even shop, that really shouldn't count. So, 1998, I mean, like, look at this. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, easily in my top 10 video games of all time. Very tied closely in my mind with Breath of the Wild. I would love to replay this and see if I feel like Breath of the Wild's better or this is better. Half-Life, I mean, come on. Metal Gear Solid, StarCraft. This year is like such a banger that I could drop off games that are just like huge for other people, like, what can I say? 1998 is an incredible year. Pokemon Blue and Red, Resident Evil 2. It's just
Tekken 3.
I know, it's Gran Turismo. Like, I mean, this year is ridiculous. I started to rank from my own perspective, and I actually had to stop at 20 games because I was like, holy shit, I've forgotten Thief. Oh my God, Oddworld. This is just like, Final Fantasy Tactics, a game that I feel like needs to get more attention. It's just an insane year. So 1998, but I've ranked it third, and I'll give reasons why later.
Oh, interesting, you got a third, okay.
Because this is not necessarily what I think is the best year in the 90s. We don't need to do that. It's what year should we pick to compete and fight and cover.
So you're not explaining why now?
I think as we go through, I want to explain why.
Okay. All right.
Okay, cool.
Mike, do you want to go for your third pick?
So my number 3 spot was 1996.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in 1996 we got...
So a certain listener will be happy to hear that.
But he's ranked at third, so that's not good.
I ranked at third, unfortunately.
Because if we don't have 96, he's in trouble.
It depends what you guys come up with. It might end up being number 1. So that was the year that we got Super Mario 64, which, set a precedent for a lot of modern Mario games. We got Quake, which, again, huge game. Terra Enigma, Command & Conquer Red Alert.
Is that one of your favorites, Terra Enigma?
I never actually played it. One of the reasons why I'm doing some of the rankings is it's a tough call between I've played this and will love to play it again, and I think it's a solid game, and it's so many good games that year versus never really played this properly. This is a great opportunity to play these games.
Yeah.
And look, some of the other mentions I think from 1996 are Red Alert from the Command & Conquer series, which amazing game at the time. Resident Evil, Crash Bandicoot, Tekken 2, Tomb Raider came out that year. They're probably like the big ones that I can think of. That's 96 in third spot for me.
All right, and third spot for me, and this will be nice and easy, is 1998.
Oh.
So same as Inter got. And my little note next to it, best year in gaming ever. So exactly what he said. So
interesting. The logic you guys use.
I am going to explain a little bit why I've got that third myself. Is because we just mentioned this is not about the best year. Honestly, it's kind of like I think if we chose 1998, not only would it be a very difficult task to actually rank that stuff, but also, honestly, the later we get in the 90s, the trickier it's going to be to really judge a lot of these games in a 2021 light. Because once you hit the N64, PlayStation era, a lot of the games, those early entries in the 3D generation show their age a lot more.
That's true.
Yeah, whereas when we look earlier to the 90s, then, we're in the 16-bit era. So that's the reason why I'm actually not going 1998, although it is the best year in gaming ever, according to probably two of us.
Well, I didn't say it's the best. I said it's right up there with 2011. I think they're the only 2 years that could be the best. I'm not sure. I feel like I think at one stage the show will run long enough that we'll go back to 1998. I'm pretty confident about that.
Oh, no doubt. We'll run out of years eventually.
All right, I guess it's me, right?
Yeah, number 2.
So kind of like on a similar theme, though, I have chosen 1997 as my second pick.
Oh,
I think another insanely compelling year, specifically to me as well. Symphony of the Night. I've only played a little bit of it, which is really weird because I'm such a huge Metroidvania fan. Maybe because I stan Metroid more than I stan Castlevania, even though I do love the Game Boy Advance game, so it's a bit illogical what I just said. Another banger year. Like personal favorites for me, stuff like Diddy Kong Racing, Star Fox 64, Quake 2, which, I even admit myself, I can't say Quake 2 would necessarily be in the top 6 that year. And we should call out that, we will do a top 6 at least. I think Sweeney wants to do a top 10, but we'll discuss that off air. Like so many bangers in this year as well. Mario Kart 64. And I think, like, for me, the trickiest part of this year is if you go through some of the games, there's actually awesome co-op and multiplayer games in this year. And you'd almost want to, like, GoldenEye 007, you'd almost want a way for us to all play that to give it it's just desserts, because you kind of almost have to judge it on that element as well. But yeah, that's why I've landed on 1997, and a little bit selfishly as well, because I really want to actually play Castlevania, Final Fantasy VII, and Diablo, and they're all listed there. So, how about you, Mike? What's your second pick?
So my second pick is 1998.
Oh,
so yeah.
I'm
We've
getting
spoken
worried.
enough
I'm getting
about it,
worried.
so there's not much else I can say.
98 could be the winner.
Other than there's a whole bunch of games, and I think you guys are right, but I also think some of those games do stand the test of time. So The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, I think, is still totally playable. I'd love to play it. Half-Life is still, to this day, a decent game. I know it's clunky, but it's an amazing game still.
Dude, I installed Half-Life to test it was working, because I was going to play Half-Life 2, and I ended up playing it for 3 hours. I was like, damn, this game is so compelling. Like, to this day.
So it's going to be interesting, trying to play a game like Resident Evil 2, and you have to play the original. You can't play the new Resident Evil.
You couldn't play the remake of that.
Not that one. Not that one.
Game.
But I think with Metal Gear Solid, you probably could play the GameCube version of that potentially.
Yeah.
We can talk about that.
Anyway, we'll talk about it if we get around to that. Something's going to be a bit hard. Like Gran Turismo is going to be really interesting to play. Grim Fandango, totally playable even by today's standards. You can get it on the Switch. Baldur's Gate, I still think holds a test of time. There's the opportunity to play the new version of it. What else do we have? Fallout 2.
Yeah, we've covered
amazing game. Still works perfectly fine. In fact, I'd play that any year. So there's a lot of really good titles I think that are totally playable and highly enjoyable. So that's me for 90 on my second spot.
I just noticed the years are appearing above our names. That's cool. It's like RPG damage numbers.
Yeah, I just did this as a very small thing, just so I could also track what everyone's saying.
So my second pick is 1994.
1994. I was thinking about 94, yeah.
So 94 is actually, I believe, was probably my second pick last time as well.
Yeah, it was.
And the reason why I didn't get bumped up the first, well, I'll get into it, but 94 was like a hallmark year for the 16-bit era. It was probably, to me, like the best year of the SNES myself. So we had Super Metroid.
Which is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy VI. There's a lot of games that aren't, like, I'm just looking at this list. I'm trying to
Ultima 8
go across a bit.
That's in my top 10 games of all time.
You had Donkey Kong Country. I mean, like, there's games here that to me are just like hallmarks of that era. And then you got a whole bunch of awesome PC games. You got System Shock. You've got, as you said, what'd you say, Mike? Sorry, what was the game?
Ultima 8.
Ultima 8. You got Doom 2, and then if you're taking, are you taking NBA Jam Arcade in this year?
No, I think it was the SNES version.
That's the SNES. Well, even the SNES one, right? But on arcade, you had Daytona bloody USA.
Yeah, which for whatever reason in Australia, it's so popular.
Yeah,
every arcade in Australia has Daytona USA.
But to me, it's really about those first two games for me. That's what makes that year. But it's not my number one.
Well, like for me as well, just to add to that, like, I played a lot of Warcraft. Like that year, and obviously Super Metroid is my favorite game of all time. Final Fantasy VI is my favorite Final Fantasy game. Yeah, it's a Doom 2 to me is still probably the best Doom game. It's a crazy year. It's a crazy year for games. Oh shit! Now I guess we're up to our top picks. Fuck. I was getting nervous then. All right, so for my pick for number one, and as I said, we don't know what each other's picking here. Is 1995. So kind of on the similar vein to Swinny, like I really wanted to pick a year that's more, 2D graphics, 16-bit era. I was actually kind of hoping something in the early 90s would resonate with me, but it didn't. Not saying that it won't with the guys. But yeah, look, 95, Chrono Trigger, regarded by a lot of people as their favorite game of all time. Earthbound came out in this year. Yoshi's Island, Diddy Kong's Quest, just absolute insane bangers from the start. And then you go through games that I have huge personal attachment to, stuff like Worms. Like Worms was just like, honestly, for me, maybe one of the most fun multiplayer in-person games you could play. Just, given the sort of turn-by-turn nature of it, and you're just thinking, shit, my character's about to die here. I've really fucked this up.
Not as good as Cute Basic Gorillas, but okay.
And then, you kind of go through like other, areas like, I'm a big fan of FGC, fighting game community, and just like fighting games. And you go, well, this is the year that, Killer Instinct really got its start, with the console releases. Tekken came out. Street Fighter Alpha series started in this year. It's just an absolute banger in terms of a year. And just, nice. I guess now that we're talking about our number ones, probably the biggest reason why I wanted to pick this year is, we've had this conversation before, but I look at, Earthbound is regarded as one of the best RPGs, and then Chrono Trigger as well. Yoshi's Island, Donkey Kong's Quest, like Donkey Kong Country 2, they're also regarded as some of the best platformers ever. I feel like I'm picking this year to go, fuck it. We have to decide not only what the better game are, like, Yoshi's Island versus Donkey Kong, Country 2, and then also Earthbound and Chrono Trigger. Out of those games, which is the best game? So I don't know. I just think to me, it's like dynamic, I like it. So yeah, that's mine. How about you, Mike? What's your number one pick?
My number one's pretty simple. It's 1997. I went okay. Well, I wouldn't say I went the safe route or anything like that, because it's actually, as you pointed out, probably personally the biggest year in so many ways. I mean, Symphony of the Night, which I'm looking forward to playing properly, Final Fantasy VII, epic game, Diablo, what else did we talk about? Quake 2, GoldenEye, the original Fallout, which is one of my favorite games of all time, Harvest Moon, that started off an entire generation of games.
Yeah.
Blade Runner, which to this day is actually an amazing game, and I have a physical copy of it.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, the original Grand Theft Auto, and come on, what that started is insane, absolutely
Which,
insane.
by the way, we're so old. Swinny, remember playing that back in school?
I remember modding that game. I remember creating my own cars and shit for it.
We were playing Grand Theft Auto on the school computer somehow.
I think we hacked it to make it work, which is so, like, we're so freaking old that people don't even know there's a Grand Theft Auto, like, 2D version.
Yeah. And look, to me that was the number one in terms of the how awesome the games were and how memorable for me they all were. Absolutely the number one year. Nice. Which worries me a little bit, because if we end up picking it, oh my gosh, that's gonna be a 2011 kind of year for me, trying to decide.
Oh, and these years are really good years.
Yeah.
All right, Swinny.
Number uno.
I feel like Swinny could be almost like the decider. If he says 97, I feel like it's going to be anticlimactic again.
Okay,
it won't be.
My number one pick is 1997.
Is it really? Is it really?
It's not.
Oh, come on. Stop it.
I had it as 97. What is it? Wait, what's the year? Did you say the year? I didn't hear it.
My number one year is 1995.
That's so funny. We picked almost the exact same thing again.
Yep. So the reason why I chose 1995 and not 96, I'm sorry, Jives. They're all great years. 95 to me was the tail end of my favorite generation, the 16-bit generation. It was like the swan song. We've talked about those games, right? Chrono Trigger, Yoshi's Island, Diddy Kong's Quest. These were like the games that were showing. This was like, hey, you love the Super Nintendo especially? It's like, here's the best of the best this year. And I like what you said, Intergod. What's better, Yoshi's Island or Donkey Kong Country 2? We've probably had that battle since we've known each other for all these years. And if we choose 95 as our next game of some other year, we're going to have to battle those two, because I'm telling you now, those two are going to be in our 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to come to a head. So 95 is the year for me.
I find it so funny that we picked the exact same year as our top year again. But we're in an interesting predicament, because Mike didn't pick 95 at all. What was your fourth pick?
Well, 95 was my fourth pick.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't have disclosed that.
Yeah, 96 and 95.
You should have put a Swinny and lied and tricked us.
I should have lied, yeah. Oh, it was 1990.
It was 99, man. Dreamcast, baby.
Yeah, bro.
It's a bit, I said the wrong year last year, so...
Look, well, see, this is an interesting one, because I feel like 1995, purely because you both had it as your number one, probably overrides anything, I would say, to be honest.
No,
I don't see how I could possibly...
We had 97 as number one. I had 97 as number two.
Yeah, but that's nowhere near as good as having two number ones. So
True, yeah, and Swinny hasn't got 97
like if you
at
put a
all.
weighting on it and you go number 1 position gives you 3 points, number 2 position gives you 2 points, number 3 position gives you 1 point, and then you add up the totals.
This is real compelling tape right now.
you will get it. Okay, so 1997.
So I've just got it on the
points.
chalkboard right now.
Okay, so
I know the maths of it, but
you know
it's
what
not
I mean.
about
So you'll
the maths.
get 5 points out of number
I know that.
1997.
I know
What
that.
are we going to get out of 1998?
By
You
the
get
way,
1, 2 points, 4 points, 3. Okay, 1 point
All
for
right,
I know, Mike.
1996.
Shut up.
I have no
figure it out.
issue whatsoever if we actually go with 97.
No, I'm also very open to whatever. Like,
Yeah, but I feel like because you guys are passionate about 1995, it is mathematically the best one.
The guy that doesn't have 1995 is trying to argue for 1995.
I know. That's what I'm thinking as well.
I'm cool. Like, I don't know. In your heart, into God, what do you feel?
I think like the easiest way to look at it is just eliminate stuff, right? So what can we eliminate? Like that's like just working through it, right? Like I feel like we eliminate 94, yeah?
It's between these 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, let's
so
eliminate everything else.
easy. So it's 95 or 97.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
much,
let's stack it up, right? The pros and cons. I think the pro of 97 actually is if I'm looking at a top 6, and I feel like we should still do a top 6, but let's just imagine, because we did top 6 last time. So top 6. I feel like Diablo, Final Fantasy 7, and Symphony of the Night all are in that top 6, right?
And Fallout for
Without
me. Easily
no,
in the top 6.
not automatic.
Oh, but
I'm just saying the automatic ones.
So it is Fallout automatically.
I would back Mike this up, but I have to do a full playthrough.
No, but let's just say automatic ones.
Oh, easily automatic.
We're
for
all
me,
saying
Fallout.
no, but I know I'm saying
Mike would argue to the death.
I will argue to the death. It's
I'm saying ones we all say would be
game of the year for 1997.
I'll reframe it, Mike, so you can understand. These 3 games are all in our top 6, personal top 6. Let's say it like that.
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night, Final Fantasy 7, and Diablo. Is that right?
No, because
top
I never
6?
really played Symphony
Diablo
of the Night,
wouldn't
so it's not my
probably
top
be mine.
6.
Oh, really? Oh, fuck me.
And then it won't be for him. So yeah.
Anyway,
I don't think this is going to be an agreement.
You assholes have totally ruined the point that I'm trying to make, which is one thing that I think is hugely in 97's favor is the games are really different. Symphony of the Night, Metroidvania, Final Fantasy 7, RPG, Diablo, CRPG, to some extent, but racing still, games, multiplayer games, like you've got kind of everything, like first-person shooters, and they're all like some of the best. Like Blade Runner is like an insanely cool game. Like I just think one thing that is massively in 97's favor is the games, the dynamic nature of the games themselves is so different. Whereas 95, to me, like, you know, it really is like platformers versus RPGs fundamentally.
Versus fighting games. Because you got Tekken, Killer Instinct, and Street Fighter.
I just can't see a fighting game being the number 1 though, personally.
No, neither.
Right?
Well, I don't know.
Probably not. But
I mean, the fact that Mike and I say probably not, I don't think you're going to overrule us.
But I'm saying that's not what we're talking about now.
Because again, it's not what the best year is. Because I think if the best year, we'd all pick. Well, you know, 98 would have been picked, I think.
I don't want to judge this based on the potential mix of what the top 6 could be.
I think that's important. I think that's an interesting thing because, you know, you want it to be interesting, right? So,
no, I just want to talk about games I like. That's all.
Well, you don't like the Symphony of the Night, Final Fantasy 7?
But I'm saying that's what I don't care. I don't care which one we go with.
You don't like Blast Corps? Parappa the Rapper? Okay. Oh, 95, 97. So what do you guys, like, what do you think, Sweeney?
It's up to you guys. You know my number 1, so.
The reason I think we go for 1995, I think at the end of the day, we had 2 people rank it as our number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now Intergut's like,
I had 95 and 97 in my top 2, right? Like, it was kind of pretty close. And you're saying 97, Mike? After all, everything?
That's totally up to you now.
Damn. I'm not usually the deciding vote.
Pressure.
You guys usually go against me with these things.
Hey, 97 was apparently Curse of Monkey Island, which is an amazing game.
Oh, damn. Another one. Holy moly. Apollo Diablo will be very angry if you...
Yeah, Apollo Diablo.
It's actually hard because, you know, Diddy Kong Racing is one of my favorite games of all time.
All right, how about this? I'll just make the decision.
Okay, you're just going to go 95.
We go with 1997.
What? Like, so
What?
look at this asshole. The one time I have the casting vote, he's like, fuck this. I'm going to like, fuck this.
You're not getting your
out.
vote.
How do you have the
don't get to
casting vote?
choose.
He goes, how do I have casting votes? Swinny said 95. Mike said 97. And then I haven't said one yet. And he's like, how do you have a casting vote?
Cast it for you.
I got to go with 95 because I got to decide like with the Diddy Kong
Yeah, but
stuff and
Swinny just
Yoshi's
said
Island.
97.
No,
so.
he's trying to trick me, but he's pretending to trick me. But
Okay, so 95 is
I'm
it?
genuinely going with what I think it should be, which is what I said at the
we
start.
can revisit 97 at a later time.
So wait, so where did we land on? I'm saying 95. Mike said 97 still. Swinny, what are you saying?
I'm saying 97.
Are you actually switching? Is he actually switching for legit?
Sorry, I got water. I'm drinking water. One consideration.
I'm just going to say this guy's an absolute idiot because he doesn't even have 97 in his top 3.
Wait. The one consideration we have to think about, and I know we shouldn't, is accessibility to actually play
that's
all these
bullshit.
games.
That's bullshit.
Well, no, it is because I don't really want to play it on an
bullshit.
emulator or something. I want to play the game on some.
Because, for instance, like Star Fox 64 or Lilac Wars, right? I don't have access to play that game, right? Now, I could talk about that game, but there's Wild Arms, right? You know, like the accessibility of 16-bit emulation is way easier than, to me, the others. So I think that is a consideration. There's a bunch of games. I just think it's going to be easy to play all the games in 95. But I'm cool with 97, man.
I reckon it's easier to play 97. Personally,
no, God,
they're
no,
all
that's
available somewhere.
No, that's ridiculous, dude. Like,
it's not?
Swinny's point's 100% correct. That
but hang
it
on.
is
Okay, yeah,
easier, but
hang on.
it's
Symphony
not.
of the Night,
it shouldn't
easy.
be determining
Final
factor.
Fantasy easy, Diablo easy, Diddy Kong Racing. Okay, Star Fox
dude.
maybe not. Quake 2
Dude, all the
easy.
games are 95. I could freaking run on my bloody calculator on my toaster.
Intigo, I'm not saying it's a determining factor. I'm just trying to find like reasons why I would choose one over the other.
I just feel like that shouldn't be a consideration. I think that's so unfair for like the year to me. I understand what you're saying. 100% understand. Like it's way easier.
Mischief Makers, like playing Mischief Makers, probably on a 64 emulation is probably play like crap.
All right, you know what? 1995. I've decided on both of the other half.
This is awesome.
So you can shut the hell up.
So it's 95. We've landed on 95. I love it. So Mike didn't have 95 and he's picked 95. Swinny didn't have 97. He's picked 97. And the man that was consistent, me, 95. So 95 is the year.
It's about this time that I say that I actually wanted 1995.
Actually,
yeah, sure. I don't blame you anymore. I don't blame you anymore. All right, so we're doing 95. So what is next is we've got to pick our top 6 for next week. So as painful as this has been, it's going to be doubly painful for...
It's going to be rough next week.
Yeah. And the other thing that we need to do is a bit of an exercise of just triple checking and, you know... I think some of them is going to be really simple. Like this was when the Western release was, but some of them we need to all agree, like, is it in 95 or not?
My top 6 for 95 are pretty damn easy though. So
yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, I don't think there's anything else to add to it. No?